I can't get the damn leg levelers off this Strange Science. I've been putting some WD-40 on it for the last couple of days, every day, and then trying it with the mole grips. But yeah, it's totally stuck on. I'm not sure if I'm ever be able to get these off, but I'm going to keep trying to put a bit of oil on it every day, and hopefully they might eventually free up, because they're actually jammed and it's far too flat, the playfield, at the moment. Once I've actually rebuilt the flippers and they're a lot stronger, it needs raising up. So we need to get that sorted, or get some new legs potentially if we can't get those out. Now the flippers are really weak on this. They don't immediately look terrible. Kind of, don't look so bad. But the coil sleeve was actually sticking out halfway, and I was able to push it in, so it looks like the lip's missing off the coil sleeve. So the coil sleeves are definitely battered. This is the same on, in fact, is it all three of them? Oh look, this one. Here's the coil sleeve on this one, look. You should not be able to do that. Yeah. Okay, very minimum it's going to want some coil sleeves, but I think I've got a full rebuild kit, so I might do the whole lot. Well, the flippers are just not that bad actually. Probably the first time I've ever seen an end stop that's not actually worn. I mean, it's got a bit of silvering there where it's been hammered, but yeah, it's not really worn at all, the end stop. Plunger. Again, quick little bit of polish. That's fairly decent plunger. That's not worn at all. Same with the pole. The pole's fine. Plastic on the pole's fine. Coil sleeve needed doing, and the EOS switch looks a little bit on the burnt side. So maybe a new EOS switch and a new coil sleeve might help things. We'll try that out. Well, the upper flipper on this is a different story. It's a complete mess. That end stop's had it. That's the old one. That's what a new one should look like. Coil sleeve. That's the coil sleeve. What's left of a coil sleeve. That's really bad. Obviously, that's what a new one should look like. Plunger heavily worn. Ends flattened out. So that's definitely a replacement. The pole, which I don't actually have one of these, look at that, that's really heavily worn as well. So I need to order one of these. The nyliner is non-existent, that's just disintegrated to nothing. That's what a new one should look like. There's only one screw holding the end stop in. The spring's a bit of a mess as well, that one's replacing. So yeah, the upper flipper will definitely benefit from some serious work. Another thing I've done is I've replaced the return springs on both of these upper flippers, the lower flippers, and the reason is that the ones that were on previously were overstretched, and if you overstretch it, the coil has got to fight against the spring more, resulting in a weaker flip. So I'm hoping that puts it back to the right power now. The end of stroke switch on the upper flipper is at the end of its life, and the wire's just come off actually. Yeah, the wiring is really ropey around here, look at this. Ugh, all these resoldering properly. And that's the new end of stroke switch. I'm just soldering on the new wires, and then we'll go and fit that into the cab and solder onto the coil. And we'll also clean up that existing coil connections, they're a bit of a mess. Okay, and we've neatened up that wiring a hell of a lot, cut all the horrible scraggly bits off, soldered it on nice and solidly. So that should perform a lot better now. Well, I've still not managed to get these damn rusted leg levelers off of the Strange Science. So on a recommendation, I bought some Super Crack Ultra. Now I did expect this to come in a more comical can. This actually looks quite sensible since it's got such a silly name. But this is apparently meant to be really good, so we're going to give it a try and see what happens. Well, this Super Crack still smells pretty nasty, and a load of grey sludge comes off the rusted joint, but look at this. I did have to give it a bit of force to get it going, but this was rusted absolutely solid. There was no way I could get this out before. I've been soaking it in WD-40 and trying it with the mole grips over and over again. Yeah, this is working great. Let's hope the other legs, the other three are just as good, hopefully. This one's taking a lot more force, but here we go. Once you get that first bit going, it's fine. This stuff's fantastic. So there you go, Super Crack Ultra. That's the good stuff. Okay, so after we get the old rusted leg levels out with the Super Crack, let's have some super lube. So basically just rub a tiny bit of this onto the thread as we're putting it into the leg, and that will stop it seizing up in the future. This is a Teflon based lubricant, also very good for EM machines. So the head is held onto the body of this Strange Science with some old piece of metal and some screws. So I'm going to replace that with a proper back box catch, brand new one. Mains lead here is pretty terrible. Let's just have a look, it's all patched up. So we're going to cut that off and put a brand new one of those on as well. Okay, so the new catch is on, that works nicely. Now we can fill all these other holes in, sand that down and get that filled in. It's looking a bit untidy on the back here. Okay, so I've cut the mains lead off, and what the hell's going on in here? This is a bit shitty, isn't it? Some terminal block in the middle. There's an earth here that's not connected. Where does that one go? I think that one goes up. Yeah, that one goes up into the head. Grounding braid with tape on it. That's not good. We're going to take that off and join that properly. What else have we got going on? Oh, it's just crimped onto there. It's onto a filter that's been cut off. Yeah, I'll have to do something with this. It looks a bit iffy. Probably won't be able to see this very well, but I've just spotted there's a wire there. Can't get it. There's a wire that's broken off there, so we need to solder that on. Okay, so that's the main lead coming in, and we've simplified the wiring to this single connector, which we're going to clip away safely inside there, out of the way of the rest of the playfield. It was quite dangerous as it was before, because it would have been very easy for any of those terminal blocks or anything to actually touch onto the back parts of the playfield there where we've got switches and lamps. So hopefully that'll be a lot safer. I've tested the earth bonding, made sure it's all across the cabinet and it's all fine. Okay, so this is the Strange Science board on the bench. We've got a couple of things to do. One is to get this battery off, as we don't know how old that is, and fit a remote battery holder. And the other is to resolder all these header pins, which are, some of these are a little bit flaky. So that's always a common thing that you need to do. Okay, so every header on the board has now been reflowed, and we're just cleaning it up with some PCB cleaner to remove any flux residue. So just go through and do all that. I'll do the same on the other side, and then we're done. Okay, so I'm cleaned up, and now we've fitted a wire for a remote battery holder. Okay, and one little finishing touch we've got to do on the flippers is the upper flipper pole is heavily worn, as we can see. So I'm just about to fit this brand new one here. Right, so one of the problems we have with these 6803 games is the header pins for the lamps, which go on here, they're under quite a bit of tension, so the wire's pulling on them, and it causes them to prematurely fail. This one has failed, it's constantly intermittent, even though I've basically tried re-punching these down. So I don't think there's enough tension on the pins, to be honest. Right, so what we're going to do, brand new Molex housing, Molex pins, Molex crimping tool, automatic wire strippers, pliers and snips. So basically we're going to go along and we're going to cut one wire at a time, strip it, put a pin on and put it into the new housing. So we're basically going to copy this one wire at a time so we don't get anything mixed up. That hopefully will resolve the issue with the lamps. Okay, so that's one connector done now. We've fitted the locking pin, all crimped in, wire tied up. Put it back onto the board, and we're hoping there should be a lot more tension now. If I even do it. I'll just have to do this off camera, I think, so I don't bend any pins. Anyway, after we've done that, refitted, we're going to recrimp this one now. This one's got the same problem. Not sure how well you can see it, but there you go. Look, see the contacts are starting to fall apart on this one. So we'll replace that as well. Okay, so that's the lamp connectors replaced and tidied up. Just going to move the tools off of here now, and then we'll power it up and give it a test. Okay, this is looking pretty good. There's a whole load of lights that were out previously now working. So we had some out on these Strange Sciences. We've got one out up there still. We've got one there. I think they're flashes. I'm not sure if they're supposed to come on now. Okay, it looks like we've got a couple that need some tension. No big deal. We might actually have a dead transistor for all we know, but we'll check it out. In fact, I think that 1 and that 100 might be linked. I'll get the manual out and I'll check.